So in today's video, I'm going to be telling you 5 things that if you do it, visa officers will not reject your visa, as a matter of fact. So some time ago, I applied for a particular visa and they called me on the phone. It was surprising. They called me on the phone and told me that they were from so and so embassy and they are looking at my application. So we had a conversation, and after that, she was like, I have approved your visa. You can go ahead and pick up your passport. And she now said, Gerald, this your application, nobody can refuse it. Nobody can refuse it. I just smiled and told her thank you. I'm going to be teaching you guys exactly what I did in this particular video. So on my screen right now is a client of mine that reached out to me, and after a consulting session, I advised him to build travel history. Yes, he has money, he has ties to Nigeria, as a matter of fact, but I also advised him to build travel history because he has not traveled before, and he was aiming to travel to Canada, I think. Yeah, Canada, right? And I had a client about last month or so that reached out to me, and after going through his circumstances, I told him, please do not reapply because you are going to get another refusal, and the reason is that Canada wrote explicitly on his refusal letter that you do not have a history of leaving your country and coming back. That's one of the reasons they actually gave to rejecting his visa, among other things, right? I'm going to be talking about all of that in today's video. But this client that I told him to build travel history, he just sent me a message yesterday and said, good news, all 4 visas were approved. So the visas for himself, his wife, and his 2 children were all approved, and they are going to Qatar. So I told him, I said, congratulations, send me the copy of your visa. I will blow out your personal information and post it on YouTube. I'm still going to do that, but here are the visas right here. Gateway to Qatar, visa 1, visa 2, visa 3, and visa 4 for all 4 of them, right? And of course, I have to advise him on how to book his flight and all of those things. And he's heading to Qatar. He's heading to Qatar trying to build travel history because he said, Gerald, I have money. I'm very comfortable. I just want to travel. What do you advise? Right? I want to go to Canada. I said, no, don't apply for Canada yet, right? With your family. Build travel history first, right? You are going to get there, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to Qatar next month, and this could actually be you. And all you need to do is to click on the first link in my video description. You want to get in touch with me and book a consulting session. But in today's video, let's talk about these 5 things that if you do it, it's going to be very difficult for the visa officer to reject your visa. Number 1 is travel history, right? Travel history. Now, what is travel history? Travel history basically means that you have traveled out of your country before and you have returned. Somebody like me right now, if I'm applying for any visa right now, there's this confidence I have knowing that my visa is not going to be rejected. Why? Because I've been like everywhere. As a matter of fact, when I applied for my South Korean visa, there was a column that said, mention the countries you've been to. I think in the last 5 years or 10 years, I can't remember exactly. Now, when I was listing all the countries I've been to, and I traveled a lot that period, right? When I was listening to the country I've been to, I just knew that this visa, in my subconscious, I knew that this visa was going to get approved. And the funny thing is that when I got that visa and I arrived in South Korea, everybody was asking me, Gerald, which agent did it for you? How did you do it? So there are 4 basic things that travel history actually does for you. Number 1, it demonstrates that you are a compliant traveler. Not just that you're a traveler, you're a compliant traveler. It means that you have traveled to a few countries and you have never overstayed your visa. You have never violated the terms of your visa, especially when it's a visit visa or a tourist visa. And one thing about tourist visas is that you have no recourse to public funds, right? And you cannot work. You're not allowed to work. You're not allowed to use public funds. If you are sick, you have to pay from your pocket and all of those things, right? And you have never violated the terms of your visa. So basically, this actually shows that you have followed immigration rules in the past and you have always returned to your home country. Now, if you overstay your visa in any country, right, it's going to be on your passport that you stamped in on so and so date, and it's going to affect you, except if it's in one of those countries that they don't stamp your passport, like the UK. UK don't stamp your passport when you're going out, and I think South Korea don't do that as well, right? So it will not reflect. But if you are applying to visit that country again, I've actually seen somebody that in his visa letter, they said that you overstayed your visa the last time, so that is why they are refusing you this time around. So travel history helps demonstrate that you are a compliant traveler, especially when it's with countries like US, UK, the first world countries. Now, travel history also helps you build trust with travel officers. The fact that you've gotten visas before, you've complied with your visa restrictions, and you have returned to your home country, it builds trust, it builds credibility for you in your application. Now, travel history also strengthens your case as a first-time applicant, right? Let's say you're applying to the UK, maybe Schengen, or the US or the first world countries, and you are a Nigerian or a Ghanaian, and you've traveled to maybe like Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, those countries, right? It helps communicate to the visa officer that you are a genuine traveler. You are interested in travel as opposed to interested in immigration. You want to run away from your country, right? Though, as a matter of fact, one of the first countries I visited in my life was Ghana. I took a bus from Lagos, through Benin Republic, Togo, and I arrived in Ghana. Stayed in Ghana for a few times, came back, went to Ghana again, for business, came back, before I applied for my Indian student visa. I got it, right? I stayed in India, came back, then I applied for South Africa after a couple of years. After I went to South Africa and came back, I now applied for the UK. I had a UK visa before I traveled to Kenya, came back, then I now traveled to the UK, I came back, and all the other ones, right? Now, number 4. If you don't have a travel history, it is not an automatic rejection, right? Travel history is considered, but it's not like the most important thing. So what is actually the most important thing when you are applying for visa? What's the most important thing that visa officers actually pay attention to? That is the tie to your home country, right? Your intention to return. Now, here's the thing. If you have ties to your home country, now there is a very high chance of you returning to that home country because you have ties. I've actually made a video about ties before, but I'm going to be explaining it in great details right now. So it's important that you pay attention. So if you're getting any value from this video, I want to encourage you guys, if you've not done that already, to subscribe to my channel. It's very important. Hit the like button, and of course, share this video with your friends. Just hit the share button and share this video with your friends on WhatsApp, Facebook, anywhere else, so they can benefit from this information. And finally, if you have any questions at all, let me know in the comment section, as I'm going to be there to answer all of your questions. And if you want to have a one-on-one with me, all you need to do is to click on the first link that is pinned in the comment section. Once you click on it, it's going to take you to Seller, and that's exactly how you can actually get in touch with me personally. Now, when it comes to tie to your home country, I cannot emphasize the importance enough, right? It is very important because the visa officer is trying to identify who genuine travelers are, right? These are travelers who their reasons for actually traveling is to actually have fun, tourism, and return to their home country, right? And to do this, they need to verify your ties to your home country. Now, there are 5 different types of ties, right? Number 1 is family ties. Number 2 is employment ties. Number 3 is educational ties. Number 4 is financial or economic ties. And number 5 is social or community ties. Now, I'm going to be explaining all of these things in great details. Number 1 is family ties. Now, what are family ties? You have spouse, you are married, you have a husband or a wife, right, waiting for you. For this, you have to provide your marriage certificate. That's one. You also have children or dependent relatives, right? Children that are dependent on you, not grown-up children, right? Kids that are dependent on you. Now, you also have dependent relatives, like your mother or your father lives with you and you take care of them. You get what I mean, right? So these are ties. So dependents that are living with you or relying on you. You have elderly parents or family responsibilities. You need to document these responsibilities to actually show. There was this lady that we had a consulting session with, right? I couldn't find a good tie for her. So what we did was that I started asking her questions and understood that her mother is sick and she is the person taking care of her mom, right? So we had to actually include that as a tie. So to prove family ties, you have to actually provide proof of family bonds, birth certificate, marriage certificate, stuff like that, right? This is very important. Another type of tie that is very important is employment ties, right? You have a stable job or career in your home country. This is very important, right? You have a job where they're paying you 50k or 100k or 200k or 300k every month. That is no money, right? You have to prove that you have a job that actually pays you money every single month. As a matter of fact, I had a consulting session with somebody yesterday. The guy wants to travel, right? He makes money, he wants to travel. And when I was talking to him, I found out that he does almost 11 million naira every single month living in Nigeria, right? A young guy doing very well. Of course, his chances were actually good when it comes to economic and employment ties. His chances are actually very good. So you have a stable job or career in your home country. So for this, you have to provide your employment letter, very important, your promotion letter if you have any, your salary, payment slip, approval of leave for you to travel, saying that you have approved your leave to travel within this time to this time, which should be in the same time frame that you're actually proposing to travel in your visa application. Another thing is a strong contract showing that you're expected to come back before your trip. Now, let me give you guys a clear example. I had a consulting session with somebody that makes about 7 million naira every month, right? And he does a live band. So we talked about it and I asked him, do you have contracts that people have actually paid you money in the future? What we are trying to prove is that you are going to come back to actually do this job because you have been paid for it and there's a contract. So we are trying to prove that this person would not abandon this job that he has, right? Let's say in December, he has been paid for it, he has a contract for this job, and he will not leave it and run away and decide to become an illegal immigrant in the UK or the US or Schengen area, right? So that is a strong contract showing that you were expected back after your trip, right? So another type of tie, which is one of the strongest type of ties, is educational ties. So the fact that you are in a school, a university, a secondary school, actually increases the chances of you returning to your country, especially when you are doing very well in your academic endeavors, right? Let me give you guys a practical example. I had a consulting session with a lady who her UK visa was rejected. Her UK visa was rejected. One of those reasons was the intention to return to her country, right? So she met me, and I reapplied for that visa, right? And when I was reapplying, I asked her, what do you do currently? She was a student of Babcock University. What is your CGPA? She told me that she was a first-class student. I said, beautiful. Give me your transcripts. Right? So we attached her transcript to her application as a tie. Now, in her cover letter, I wrote, I have attached my transcript to this application. If you look closely, you see that my first year, I finished with a 4-point-something CGPA. Second year, the same thing. Third year, the same thing. And she was about entering her final year. Now, I now made the argument that it would be stupid of me to become an illegal immigrant in the UK, where the clear alternative is to return to Nigeria and finish top of my class because I'm a first class material. You get? So that was the argument I made, and that visa actually got approved. Easy, right? So educational ties are one of the best ties that you can actually have. There was a lady I had a conversation with, right? She booked a consulting session, and while we were talking, I discovered that her children were enrolled in school, and she was planning to travel with her children because it was easy. Get a letter from the school, letter of enrollment, the school fees of your children, all of those things, right? And attach it to this application, right? And of course, she got a letter as well from her children's school stating that they were on long holiday. They are going to be resuming in September. So it's a good time for them to travel to the UK, spend some time, and come back to Nigeria, right? Educational tie, one of the best kind of ties that you are going to have. Enrollment in school, university, or training programs, and a letter from the school stating your current status and expected return. So educational ties are one of the best kind of ties that you can actually have. Now, another kind of tie that is very important is economic or financial ties, right? Do you have money? Right? Do you have money? So it's not just money, right? So property ownership, landed properties, house, apartment, actually works as well, right? Running a business or being self-employed is also a good one if you can actually prove a track record. Now, this is actually very dicey, especially if you're in Nigeria. I'm going to make a different video showing you, explaining this that I want to talk about right now. On CAC's website, you can actually verify if a company is active or inactive. And I have seen loads of visas refused because your company says inactive on CAC's website. So before you apply for a visa using your company document, make sure that company is actually active on CAC website. If you want to know how to actually check that, let me know in the comment section, and I will make a different video showing you guys how to go to CAC website and verify if your company is active or inactive. And if your company happens to be inactive, I'm also going to be showing you guys exactly how to fix that. I will give you the contact of somebody that can actually help you fix that. Okay, now investment, bank account, assets in your country. You have assets, you have mutual funds investment, you have that pays you money every month or every quarter. You have investment in companies, shares, all of those things, right? Those are all economic and financial ties, as a matter of fact. Now, there is also something called social and community ties. You are a leader in your community, you are a religious leader in your community, you're a volunteer worker, you have long-standing membership in community, cultural groups, all of those things, right? You are the president of your town union, you are the president of this, all of this actually does help, right? Because it helps you build credibility as an individual, right? If this community actually do trust you, then there's a very high chance of the visa officer trusting you as well. So these are how to prove your ties to your home country. And the fact that you have ties to your home country, this actually means something that's going to bring you back to your home country. So that's a very small chance of you deciding to become an illegal immigrant because you have these ties to your home country. Another thing that is very important is justification of your purpose of travel, right? Now, for a tourist visa, if you are visiting your family and friends, you are going on vacation, you're going for a conference, you are going for a short-term study, these are all under visiting visa, tourist visa for the UK and a few other countries as well, right? So you have to provide justification of the reason why you are actually making that trip. If last year you went to Ghana as a tourist, now this year you've gone to Kenya as a tourist, then next year you go to South Africa as a tourist. Now if you apply that you're going to the UK as a tourist, there is a very high chance that they're going to trust you because you've actually gone on tourism trips before. Now, if you're a first timer and you say that, okay, for instance, recently some of my friends, they went for a JCI conference in South Africa. So they had to get a letter that they are members of JCI, and the president and this JCI South Africa had to provide proof to show that this conference is actually happening in Durban and these guys are coming from this particular conference. Now that's justification, right? So if you are traveling on tourism by yourself, right, you have to provide itinerary. Some countries actually make it mandatory. Like for instance, South Korea, I have to provide what I want to do every day in South Korea. I need to go to this place. So I will arrive at so and so date. I will sleep in my hotel. The next day I will go and see this place. I will go and see this place. I will go and see all the days that I plan to stay. Everything I plan to do. Now, it is not a must that you must do that, but they actually want to say it, right? They want to see your plan, your itinerary. So if you want to see, let's say you want to go for a boat ride, have you paid for that boat ride? You're attending a conference, have you paid for that conference? I've actually seen people turned away at the airport. They were actually deported from the airport because they were attending a conference that was paid and they haven't even paid for that conference. They didn't even have money to pay for that conference. Right? So you have to justify the reason why you are traveling as a matter of fact. So if you're going for a conference, you have to actually prove that you are going for that conference and how that conference actually benefits you. Let's say you're going for, okay, let's say nurse. As a nurse, you're going to write your nursing exam in the UK. That makes sense, right? So you have to provide your BSc, your qualification that you are a nurse, you're working as a nurse for so and so years. You went to school as a nurse. It makes sense, right? So if me, that is, I was trained as an engineer and I've been a YouTuber for like the longest time, right? And I now said I'm going for a nurse to write a nursing exam. Of course, it won't work. Do you get? So you have to justify your purpose of your visit. If you're going on vacation, you have to justify that you are going on vacation. You have your hotel booking, you have this, you have that, all of those things. If you are visiting family or friend, you have to provide proof that you are friends with this person, or that you are family, you are blood related with this person. You have to provide a proof of relationship. There was somebody I did a consultation with recently. As a matter of fact, he has told us that we should do his next application for him, right? So one thing that struck me was that when I was looking at his refusal letter, I told him that you said that you earn 12 million naira in a year and that you spend 1.2 million naira every month. That means in 10 months you have spent all your money. And this guy was shouting, God punish that agent. God punish that agent. So you boils down to that thing that I used to say, right? Even if you decide to use an agent, please be involved. Know exactly what they are feeling in your form and understand it, right? So that's part of what I do in my consulting session. You want to apply for first time, I would actually sit down with you. You want a second eye, I would actually take a look at your application before you apply. Right? I can ask you questions, understand your circumstances, and talk about it. Very important, right? So, and if you actually want us to write your cover letter or do application for you, we also do that. And you will not have the issue of God punish that agent, because we'll pay attention, we'll cross all our T's and we'll dot all our I's. Very important. I was talking about this guy's issue here. So while I was looking at his refusal letter, I saw something else. They said that we cannot find any relationship between you and your niece that you are planning to go and visit in the UK. Justification of purpose. There was no relationship. He didn't prove relationship between him and his niece. How are you related? Is it your mother or your father? Birth certificates, all of those things, communication. Now, I had the same issue in my first application for a UK visa. One of the reasons for my refusals was that the person that gave me invitation, they couldn't find any relationship between me and Tony. Right? So I now had to reapply and provide WhatsApp chats between me and Tony from 2017. I think I did this application in 2021 or so. Right? From 2017 to 2021, I have to provide our WhatsApp chats to show that I know him personally. I had to provide email communication between me and him to show that we have a relationship. Now, he has sent me money and I have sent him money. I went to my GT bank and printed the receipt of this transaction where I sent him money and to prove that we have a personal relationship. So the fact that you say you're visiting your brother does not necessarily mean that they would actually agree. If you guys have the same surname, good and fine. But if you don't have the same surname, it becomes worse. You have to prove your relationship with your so-called brother. How are you related? Birth certificate. Or do you guys have the same father and mother? Bring your birth certificate to show that you have the same father and mother. Justification of purpose, very important, right? Now, last but not the least on our list is, can you afford your trip? Right? Can you afford your trip? And the people make the mistake of thinking that when you have a lot of money in your account, it is going to help your case. Most times, it actually affects you negatively more than positively, right? So that is where you see that we saw deposits in your bank account, but we cannot verify the origin or source of these funds. Now, let's say, for instance, you say that you earn 1 million naira every month, and your bank statement, so that means that you make about 12 million naira in a year, and your bank statement, your 6-month bank statement, you have an inflow of 49 million. Where did it come from? Did you sell a house? Did you sell your car? You have to explain and bring proof of that fund. Let's say, for instance, you sold your car for 12 million and the money was paid into that same bank account, right? So you now have to provide the deed of sale, the receipt of sale, and explain that so and so person bought my car for so and so amount on this. So that is why this entry of 12 million is showing inside my bank statement. That is what I do in my cover letters. So I will take time and go through your bank statement and begin to find all these lump sum. Sometimes I will tell you, please, this money, explain to me where this money came from. I want to know. Because if I know, then I can explain it so that the visa officer would also understand. So that's one of the things that happened to me in my second refusal when I applied for a UK visa the second time. I was refused again. And the reason they gave is that they said they saw 1.2 million naira, $1.2 million inside my dollar account and $1,850,000 inside my dollar account, right? And I didn't explain where this money came from. I didn't know I was supposed to explain, but the thing is that the money was not in my account. They mistook my naira account for my dollar account, and of course I had to reapply and point out their mistakes, and that was when my first UK visa was actually approved, when I pointed out that mistake. But there was nothing else that was holding me back except that mistake. Now, as a first-time applicant, there's so much scrutiny on you, right? Right now, I can apply for a UK visa with little or no documentation and I will get that visa, right? But for you that is a first-time applicant, it is not so. So you need to cross your T's and dot your I's. Very important. Preempt these things and answer these questions in your application before you submit your application. That's the only way that you can guarantee that your visa is going to be approved. So if you earn 1 million naira every month, that's 12 million naira every month. It is expected that if you print your 6 months bank statement, you would have 6 million naira inflow inside your bank account. Now, once you pay attention to these things, the probability of your visa being approved becomes higher, right, than it being rejected, okay? So it's important that you pay attention to this. And if you want to know the documents you need for a successful UK visa application, this video showing up right here will show you how to do that. And if you want to do the application yourself, I've actually recorded a video showing you how to do that, and that video showing up right here right now.